Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Blind Girl Vlogs. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and whack the notification bell so when I upload new content, you'll be the first to know. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 things I find really cringy as a blind person. Him indoors is going to be behind the camera, but we're going to get his thoughts on this. My first one, I'm going to throw it open to you as well, Sean. My first one is I really cringe when people don't actually speak to me and speak to the person I am with. For example, in a restaurant, this has happened to me so many times that I'll be sitting there discussing what things I want on the menu, and then I'll be ready to give my order to the waiter or the waitress, and then they talk to the person I am with. I can advocate for myself, guys.
How many of those times, though, are they saying, could you tell her to stop drawing on the walls?
What? Drawing on the walls?
What you're talking about specifically is, I suppose, when people say, how does she like her steak cooked?
Oh, well, yeah,
Why
for
don't you
example.
ask her?
Yeah, what would you like to eat? And they ask the person I'm with rather than me. Or, would you like me to cut your food up for you?
I've had this before myself, and it was in a restaurant in the House of Commons, and I say I used to work there. I wasn't an MP, don't worry. And really nice team, and I really love them. I won't say which one, but they said, "Oh, would you like me to cut your food up?" I said, "No, I'm fine, thanks." "Oh, but so and so," and I won't say who. Very well-known blind person. They come in and they always ask me to cut their food up. I said, "No, it's fine, thanks so much." "Okay, no worries." And they come back and say, "I've cut your food up." No.
And to be honest, I don't mind if someone was asking, like purely because they wanted to ask the question of, would you like your food cut up? And if someone says, actually, yes, I would, fair enough, but don't just assume all blind people want their food cut up, because not all blind people do. I can only talk for myself, of course.
Oh boy, can you?
Yes,
the reason
I
some
can.
people do, and the reason you might at home, the point is, if you've got like a rack of ribs and you're in polite company, you don't really want to get, ribs all over your fingers, do you, really? Or
even if it's chicken on the bone, and that can be really tricky. Now, before, if I'm with company and I find it really kind of embarrassing, I will discreetly ask the waiter or waitress if someone can actually cut it off the bone. So when it comes...
You're sounding really, really special now.
No.
No, but I know what you mean. I get that. But the point is, it's when somebody does it and you're in company and they've cut it up for you like it's baby food.
Yeah. And I think the point is if the person asks for it, great, but never assume. And it's just like really, really cringy, isn't it, when someone just comes up to you and says, right, I've cut your food up, even though you haven't asked for it and specifically said, no, we don't want it.
The next one that I would like to throw into the list is when people say, oh, did you hear, and then something on TV. Like, did you hear Line of Duty last night? What do you mean,
did you hear?
Oh, you don't think I would say C. Right, okay. And, but, I mean, to put the rider, I don't think anybody should ever worry about what you say to someone who's blind or
That's
otherwise. True.
True.
And the other thing is, people who are blind are much like anybody else. Like, some chilled out people, some not chilled out people. So you're going to come across people who, like, apparently mortally offended by things, and you're going to find people aren't. But on the whole, your average person is going to be absolutely fine. They just like encourage you to ask whatever question you want to ask, and then like take it from there.
In the language that you would ask it. So yes, I do watch television. I don't, I'm totally blind, but I do watch television. It's the language. It's what I use to communicate. I don't say, oh, I listened to something on the television. Yes, I did listen to it, but in the context of what we're talking about here and now, it's like, did you catch this on TV? Did you watch it? Yes, I did. Or did you see? Some people really, really trip up on their words, and I don't want people to think that, to worry about what it is you're saying necessarily, because most people aren't going to get offended. That you're going to get the few maybe who might not like it, but the majority I've come across who've said to me, no, this is what I use. And actually, speaking for myself, of course, I can only speak for myself, I always say, I saw or I caught.
So that brings me on to a question I want to ask you. I'm going to magically shift in for a closer shot by standing right in front of you. There was a recent survey by a charity, I won't name them, who, at least the reports, I didn't read the full report because I couldn't find it on their website, but it said that people find the term, blind offensive?
Yeah.
And so this is a hobby horse of mine. No, don't worry about this. I worry that's really counterproductive, because people are already really fighting they're going to say the wrong thing and upset someone.
Yeah.
Just speak to the person, and if you're in doubt, say, hey, do you mind if I call you blind or visually impaired or, whatever it is?
And everyone's going to be different, and I think it's really important just to ask the person how they would like to be addressed. You're not necessarily going to go up to someone and say, hi, would you like me to call you blind or visually impaired? Necessarily, it depends on the context. But I'm blind, and I'm happy saying that, but it depends on the person. Some people like to say they're, severely sight impaired or they're low vision.
My favourite one I ever heard is you're visually challenged.
Visually challenged. Or differently abled. I don't like that. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not keen on that.
I heard, you did a radio interview, I won't say for who recently, but they were talking about people who are less able. Screw off! What do you mean less able?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, when it comes to driving a car, you probably can't do that so well, but when it comes to writing Braille, you're not bad.
No, yeah, exactly. And like I say, I would think, for me, I would find it more offensive if people actually didn't want to talk to me because they were scared or worried about how I would react if they said something wrong. Well, just go up to someone and start talking. We are just as able as anyone else in terms of being able to
other than the seeing thing.
Yeah. Another one I'm going to chuck in here is when people give my guide dog directions. Now, this always makes me smile, but underneath I'm kind of cringing because it's something that I've come across quite a lot over my 18 years of being a guide dog owner.
Oh, 18 years, that means I outrank you.
Ooh.
1999.
Oh,
when
wow.
was your commission?
Yeah.
It happens, doesn't it?
It does, really, it does.
And somebody said, I'm after the platform to go out to Bromley, and they said they went down to my last guide dog Chip and said, right, what you do, boy, you go up by the post box, there's a Burger King, you'll see that on your left, you go through the gates there, when you get to the big blue door, turn right. And I laughed. I said, really, can you help us? Yeah, no, I've told him. I said, oh, okay, you know the dog doesn't understand. Yeah, it's a guide dog, isn't it? Or blind dog, I think he said. And I said, you got somebody else here at all?
It's really, really funny. And this happened to me when I was in Great Yarmouth, actually, when I was a new guide dog owner, and I was walking down kind of really confident. I was doing my thing and I was in tune, and the next thing I was called out for assistance because I wanted to find out where this particular shop was, and a lady comes over and says, yeah, so what you need to do, and literally bent down and said, this is what you need to do, this is where you need to go. And I did say to her, it's okay, I am the one to give my guide dog directions. We learn together as a partnership. If you just tell me where it is, how far up it is, we can be on our way. But thank you so much. I mean, people are doing it because they want to be kind or try and help, but actually just talk to the person, not their assistance dog or guide dog or service dog. We can only talk from the perspective of people who are blind and visually impaired, but I know there are many people on this channel with varying degrees of disabilities and impairments. So I want to know your stories in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.